Welcome back to the Association Podcast. Today we have Wes Trochlil.
The other one, though, that comes to mind is that a lot of association staff, I think I even said it in there, they don't have the courage of their convictions. They don't believe in the value that they're offering. And that's usually, in most cases, it's just short-sighted. They haven't been on the other side, and so they don't really grasp that there's a lot of value there, and they short sell themselves. They're afraid, I guess.
And, as associations are searching for the membership value and how they get that across to potential members and membership, Joe, you talk about this. Sometimes we see that there's too many member benefits, and that kind of can work against you. So I'd be interested in hearing Joe talk a little bit about that, and then Wes, what you think.
Yeah, I'd love to get Wes's insight into it because we've seen both ends of the spectrum, right? So you go from too many to too few. I also think the semantics are interesting, right? Like you're talking member value and member benefits. And sometimes those things aren't necessarily equal to each other. But I'd love to get your insight on that, Wes. If you're an association, how do you go about providing that member value? Where do you get started with that?
Yeah, an interesting point you made also about having too many. So one of the keys, and again, that's, I'm generalizing here because there are some associations who do this really well, but a lot of associations will make the mistake of saying, here are the benefits without ever really asking the members how they perceive that. And so the value that the staff says, oh, this is the thing, or these are the things, the members maybe don't see that. And in fact, I've talked about this back in the day when measuring member engagement started to first be a thing. We would make these lists of, okay, here are the things we need to measure. They come to events and they serve on committees and they pay their dues and so on. And so, that makes sense. But again, I think we were being short-sighted because we weren't asking the members what the value was. And this really came home to me I think it was 98. I worked at NACUBO for a year as membership director, and NACUBO's membership is about 3,000 colleges. Literally, we had all but 3 colleges in the country. It's a great membership job, by the way. If you have 99.9% market penetration, that's where you want to be. But there was a fairly large number of members who didn't participate in anything. And I, kind of pound my head against the wall. Why aren't you participating? Then I finally asked them, and here's what they said. We love what you do. We love the magazine. We love that you lobby for us. We have no budget to attend meetings. We have no budget for committee work, but we do have budget for your dues. So we're going to continue to be members forever. We're just not going to participate in the way that you think is important. And that was when, the first light bulb moment, I was like, oh, it's not about me, it's about them and how they define what value is. And there's probably going to be, 3, 5, 7 different major reasons for any given association as to why the member participates or what he or she perceives as the value. And so we have to turn that around and really think about or let them explain to us where the value is, the timeline. Yeah. So on user adoption, I think one of the keys is that whoever's running the project on the association side needs to be sure that they are letting staff speak. And I'm kind of amazed, actually. I will hear from my clients very frequently, from the CEO, they'll say, one of the things my staff really liked about working with you is that you were a good listener, that you heard what they were saying. And I did, because a lot of it's documented so that, it gets fed back to them. So they did see that I was listening. And, having grown up in a large family, including 6 sisters, I guess I learned my listening skills very early on. But there's a lot to that. Just the idea that, to turn it on its head or to stereotype it, IT takes this project, does it all, and then they throw it at you. And so everyone else on staff is like, you never asked me one question about what I do or how I do it. And so why would I buy into this? Why am I going to take on this project that you've now thrown at me? And so, Jake, that's just a long way of saying, I think if you can demonstrate that you, in air quotes, care about what people say and engage them in the process. So, some people are going to ignore you and some people are going to actively not want to be involved. But if you throw that vibe, as my kids would say, that you care about what their input, I think that alone.
That change management part of the staff and adoption and all of that is just as important, if not more important, I guess, than the technology, right? Because a technology project, I mean, as long as you get the data conversion right, like it's all downhill from there, right? So
yeah, actually, I was going through, I think I was just looking through my old stuff, and there was one I'd written many years ago called, no system ever failed on selection. And because the reality is, there are exceptions again,
sure.
But in most cases, associations, if they're choosing newer technology, it's not the technology that's going to be the problem ultimately. It's going to be the user adoption. It's going to be the implementation itself. And then it's the ongoing. That's what's going to kind of make or break the system. And so, Jake, you were asking about timeline. One of my kind of mantras is you've got to do it as quickly as you can, do it well. But don't make it too long, because the longer it is, the less you'll lose momentum. You start losing people's attention. You lose user adoption actually as a result of that, because people are like, this is never going to end. I've got other things I need to do. I need to move on now. So it's like finding that happy balance of fast enough, but not too fast that you're doing it poorly.